Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. My name is Himanshu Singh and today we are going to talk about generative AI. So if we talk about generative AI, what comes in your mind as you just heard about this generative AI word? Maybe AI, maybe machine learning, or maybe chat GPT or something like that, right? So what I'm going to do today, let's say if you are a fresher, if you are if you have just started learning about generative AI, or you are experienced person and you want to change your domain to generative AI, what are the things you need to cover, or what are the different terminologies or keywords or jargons is being used in generative AI? Maybe you are not aware about that, or maybe you have heard it of, but maybe you are not clear about that. So what I'll do, I'll try to make it very clear to everyone what are the things comes under generative AI, what are the different terminologies are there, and what is these jargons are, right? So we will be covering everything from the scratch. We'll try to cover whatever comes under generative AI in this particular series, right? So in this particular video, we will be only giving you the overview of generative AI, the difference between AI, machine learning, deep learning, right? And the different prompt engineering techniques, applications, right? What are the different RAGs are? Maybe you have heard about that word, but you are not clear, right? So in this particular video, we will be trying to make it very clear, right? So let's get started, guys. So if I give you an overview, right, on the generative AI, so there can be 3 to 4 or n number of categories, which we can't cover in this particular in a single video. So I have made the 4 categories here, like terminologies, using LLM. What is this LLM called? What is the meaning of this LLM? Maybe if you are a fresher, you are not aware of it, right? DIY, do it yourself. When you say DIY, what is the meaning of the DIY, right? In generative AI. Applications, what are the different applications? Okay, we have created a large amount of models, right? ChatGPT is there, but what is the use case of it? Is it really beneficial, or is it just a hype? That we will be clearing, right? So let's get started with one by one, right? So first we'll be trying to cover this terminology, right? What is this terminologies? So when we say terminology, there is 3-4 things should come in your mind. The first term is AI, artificial intelligence, then machine learning, then deep learning, and then generative AI, right? So if you see in this particular picture, what is happening? First, I'll not talk about AI. I'll start with machine learning. Then I'll come to AI, right? So what is this machine learning? So machine learning means somewhere you have trained your model. When I say model, it's nothing, it's an algorithm, right? You are trying to train your model on top of a data so that it can predict something. It can predict some date, something like a on the future data itself, right? So you have the past data, you train your model, and now you want that model should predict something for the futuristic data. So whenever this word comes out, right, prediction, that means you are using somewhere machine learning, right? This is not only the machine learning, that would be on the deep learning also. So machine learning is a very broad term. It is having the different types like supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement, right? But at a conclusion, it would be prediction, or it would be grouping it by, or it would be clustering kind of, right? Then come to the deep learning part. Deep learning means same thing here, right? You are trying to predict something, you are trying to get something, get the output, or get the kind of summary or something from the data, but the way is different. If I talk about deep learning, somewhere a concept called neurons or neural network comes out. Neurons or neural networks are inspired from our human brains, right? So what is happening on this brain actually? We have the neurons, we have the axons and dendrons, and basically when we learn something, these neurons get interconnected, and that learning is happening, right? So means our learning, our humans learning is happening based on the neuron itself. So the same thing they have implemented on deep learning. There you have the neurons. Neurons are nothing. It's made up of something called activation function. Just forget about that. Just as listen it out, right? That's an activation function. That's an optimizer. That's a combination of a neural network. That's a combination of layers, right? So you have the neuron. You have several neurons in one layer, then second layer, then third layer. So it's a complex kind of black box. For now, we can say it as a black box, but we are going to make it clear further. For now, it's a black box, but it's inspired from the human brain, right? That's why it's called the neural network, right? So that is the concept in the deep learning, but the use case is same. It would be doing kind of prediction only, right? In the deep learning section. Okay. Now we we have generative AI. Okay, now what is generative AI? So generative AI is part of deep learning as well as machine learning, but here mostly we are working to generate something. When I say generate something, what it means in terms of AI, you are generating either text, either images, or either videos, right, or audios, like any modality. This is called modality. Any modality you can generate based on given input, right? So you are generating something here, and that generation is happening based on the deep learning architecture. In the generative AI, deep learning is having a lot of contribution. That is why I'm telling this actually, because deep learning having the concept of transformers and sequential networks, that are the backbone, or that are the base of generative AI. When I say generative AI, we have lots of things coming out, right? So these all are having one base, and that base is nothing, that's a transformer, that's a sequential network, right? Some more terminologies are there that we'll be covering later. So you understood machine learning is one thing where you are predicting something, and that is somewhere based on your mathematics algorithms. Then you have the deep learning, which is inspired from human learning or neurons. And then you have the generative AI, which is taking a part of deep learning and also a something different, which is generation, which is generating the images, videos, or somewhere your audios, right? That is one thing. So generative AI taking deep learning, taking text, taking prompts, something like that. Now AI. So AI is a very broad term actually. Everything comes under AI, under one umbrella. You can say AI is an umbrella, and these machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI comes under that umbrella, right? So much. In other terms, when we more define it, you can see in the screen like AI, machine learning, and then deep learning comes under the machine learning. Then generative AI comes under deep learning, right? So it means it's a combination, right? Somewhere some part of deep learning is there, somewhere some part of other things are there, right? But never just start with generative AI. You should have to learn some more concepts from the deep learning as well, from the machine learning as well, right? Okay, so I think it is clear right now, three or four terminologies which are mostly being discussed, mostly in the hype, in the news, in the everywhere, every blogs, every videos are talking about this, right? So once we are done with that, now we have prompt engineering. That is again a terminology or a jargon which you are somewhere listening every time, right? Somewhere someone is talking about prompt. A good prompt can give you the good result. A bad prompt will give you the bad result, right? Everything is on top of your prompt. So what is that? Prompt is nothing, it's something you are asking someone to give you some response, right? So please understand it very well. With respect to human request, when you ask someone something, if you more elaborate your request, it will able to give you that particular response very well. Let's say if you want to ask your teacher a mathematical problem, right? So you called him, and you are just trying to explain your problem. So if you explain it well, then only he will be able to answer you, right? Otherwise he will be hallucinating, means he will be somewhere adding some extra knowledge or some extra problem from here there end, and he will not able to give you the proper response. So in that case, you should have a proper or structured query. When I say query, it's nothing, it's a text only. It's a kind of request only, right? So prompt, when I say prompt engineering or prompt engineers, whatever we have jobs available on the market, it means like they are good in the prompt, writing the prompt. Why? Okay, that is okay, like writing the prompts are easy someone can say, right? You just need to write your problem, but not like that. You have the different topics. If you see in the screen, like you have prompt here, some task is given. So you have to define the task description. You have to define the input indicator. Let's say you want to give your model that okay, rewrite this particular content. So content is your input. You have to define in the prompt that is my input. You have to define the current input. You have to define how you want your output, right? How it should be, what kind of tone it should use, what kind of format it should use, what kind of size of content it should use. That should be written in the prompt itself. Okay, so we got that we are requesting something, or we are just writing a particular request format, right? Something like that. But okay, that is easy. Anyone can do that, right? Yes, anyone can do that, but there is some more to that. Some more thing is like, if you are using the different models, for the different model you will be having the different formats. Let's say if I talk about Mixtral model, OpenAI model, or any Llama model, so all of the models are having the different formats. You have to add something to that particular format itself. That is called the prompt template or prompt engineering, right? Okay, so that is one thing. That is one thing. So two things we have covered till now, that what is prompt and what are different format of prompts can be there and why it is required, right? I hope it is clear. Third thing is, there is different type of prompt engineering technique. That's called zero shot learning, one shot learning, few shot learning, chain of thought, or COT when we say, iterative prompting, or negative prompting, hybrid prompting, prompt chaining. So many things are there. But please don't worry about these all. We will be going to cover each and every prompt techniques in the next videos. One by one we'll be talking all 7 to 8 techniques. So, but if I want to give you an overview of all these techniques, that's nothing. That's something like, you, let's say what happening, your model is aware about the context, that what it needs to give you, but it is not clear that in which format or what should be the correct way of telling you the response. It is not clear. So in the zero shot, one shot, few shot, you're trying to tell that model, you're giving some examples to that model, that this is how I'm asking the question and this is how the response should be. So you are giving the question, you are giving the output example, and you are saying in the next line that you have to give response like this. So that is called the few shot prompting, right? So there is a different methods for that. So I'll be talking about these all you can say prompt techniques in the next videos, right? In very brief, we'll be taking the examples as well. We'll talk about it more, right? So now, second topic is using LLM, right? So maybe some of you are known about LLMs. LLM is large language model. So if I talk about the history of LLM, that's nothing. What happened? You have a transformer model in deep learning section, right? Maybe you are heard about that transformer model. That's having the encoder and decoder architecture on top of it, right? What this generative AI, how it is different? It is just starting from that particular point. That is a base model of every LLMs. And what these companies, what these organization did, they took that architecture, they tuned it long documents on data, and they have trained it, they have modified their architecture a lot more, and what they did, they have deployed it somewhere, right? So maybe in machine learning, I talk about that machine learning models, right? That is an algorithm only. That's nothing like something is special. That's an algorithm. Same this large language model, that's also a model, but it's a very huge model. When I say huge model, it means there are lots of data which has been given to this particular model, and lots of time has given to this particular model to be trained, right? And these models are being trained on that corpus of data itself. So they are large models. When I talk about any specific model, they have been trained on billions of parameters, right? So these models have been trained and they are deployed somewhere. Like if I talk about ChatGPT model, the GPT-4, GPT 3.5, these has been trained and deployed somewhere. Now ChatGPT is taking the particular API and giving you to the front end that this chat GPT, and you're writing something, they are responding it. At the back end, that model is present, right? At the back end, that model is responding, right? So there is always two, like these models are the back end. One thing, these models are only providing you these answers, right? So there is two ways to use this model. Either you can use as a API, or you can have the open source model, right? What do you mean by this API, and what do you mean by open source? Let me explain. When I say API, it means model is already deployed on the infrastructure of that particular like company. Let's say if I talk about Mixall, if I talk about Cloud A or something like OpenAI, that is there. They are providing the API keys. You can take the API keys right from here, and you can request something. Request means you can prompt, you can write the prompt and you can request something, and they will provide you the response. In that case, according to your request tokens, right, you are giving your particular message, and that message will be broken into tokens. Tokens means, let's say 4 to 5 characters will make a one token. So based on the token, they will charge you. That charge will be lesser, but yeah, it will be there because of you are using their resource. That is called the API. Okay, in that case, your data will be shared. Your data will be uploaded to that particular company's portal or somewhere wherever their model is deployed, right? So you have given the data, you have given your request, and now you're getting the response. That is how your like API based LLMs are working, like GPT-4 all models, Anthropic Cloud models, Cohere, Palm, Llama, Meta, Bard, Bloom, like so many models are there. Like these models API you can use. Open source model means these models like are being trained, and they are providing these models. Like you can download these models on your local infrastructure, and from there you can create or you can deploy those models, and you can have an API and you can use it in your projects. Getting my point? Means you have the model, you downloaded that model on your laptop or on your server, and there you deployed it, and from there itself you are using a particular API of that model in your all the project itself. Isn't it seems very convenience to use this, because we are not going to pay, right? We are not going to share our data, right? Here everything will be shared on my local, but no. If I talk about these models like Llama 2, Llama 3.1, 3.2, Mixall, Falcon models, MPT, Bloom models are there, right? These are open source models. These are very high trained or used models. If you want to download and deploy on your local, it needs a GPU system, and that GPU is always based on your how many billions of parameter that model is being trained, right? So let's say if I want to use Mixall 8x7b, so 8x7b means it has been trained on 56 billion parameters. So it will be needing around of 80 GB or 100 GB of VRAM of GPU, right? So do you understand? 100 GB of VRAM of a GPU you need to deploy that model and use it. So to purchase or to take a rent that particular GPU, it will again cost you. So cost wise, maybe it will be high, because it will depend on your use case how you are going to use it, but your data will be private, right? So that is I think in the future maybe the costing will be reduced, because of everyone is going to use this open source model. The performance wise they're a lot doing very good, but they need a good configuration to deploy and use that particular model itself, right? So that's called the open source. Now you understood LLM will be having two types, like either you can use as an API, or you can use as a download and deploy that model and use it as in your API itself, on your local itself, or on your server. Next you have the HuggingFace. Okay, what is now HuggingFace? HuggingFace is nothing, it's an open source platform where all these open source models have been uploaded. It's similar as a GitHub, right? You have uploaded your model files, everything there. You can go ahead, you can take a token of HuggingFace, and from there you can directly download these models, right, on your local, and you can use it. If you see here, you have this, right? Models, dataset, metrics, documents, right? From here you can take a models as a tokenizer, transformers, data set, different things you can do here, right? So Hugging Face is the, I think it's the backbone of all your Gen AI thing. Everything is there. You just need to go and you need to take that particular model to use it on your server on your local itself, right? I hope everything is clear till now.